Good morning, everybody. Today I have Matt Sanford on the podcast.
What's up?
Not much. If people don't know who this guy is, he has a ton of tutorial videos on YouTube. So, I guess the first question I got is what made you get into doing tutorials?
Man, it's kind of one of those things where I have my like nice angelic answer, which is just, I want to better the automotive community and guys swear what we're doing is wizardry and it's really not. It's just more like common sense and, listen to what the computer says. But realistically, it was also to prove a lot of the tuners that show up on the Facebook pages and claim they're the best. And I kind of wanted to put them in their place, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's kind of like an asshole thing for me to do, but I get tired of getting these emails where these guys are like, I just spent $600 or $700 getting tuning by this guy, and he's 4 revisions in, and it's run like garbage, and it pisses me off. So I'd rather just show them up and either force them to be better or teach the public at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got into this business because of that reason right there. Seeing these guys pay, $6,000 for a tune-up, and then the car doesn't start or drives like shit, and it's guys do 4 or 5 wide open throttle passes on the dyno, and then they call it good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, you say it's not wizardry, but I mean, you've seen some shit too.
I mean, I have, but
Yeah,
dude, the biggest thing that I tell everybody is a lot of tuners feel like their job is dictated off of how many changes they make. And see, like with me, I do stock ECU stuff mainly, so GM's already laid it out for us. I mean, you
yeah,
could literally take a pretty big cammed car and start it up on a bone stock tune, and it may be pissed off and idling low, but it'll run. Whereas like your job on the standalone stuff, I mean, you're starting from scratch, so yours is probably a little bit more wizardry than mine is. Mine's more just using common sense.
yeah. I mean, you explain on your videos a lot, and this is what I just found your videos not too long ago. I mean, I reached out to you. I was probably 2 weeks into watching some of your videos, but
Yeah,
you say a lot. Like one thing I like about you is GM lets everything flow in their tunes, so I want to
hmm,
also do that. Like we don't have to adjust this table, but we're already in here. We might as well adjust this and make this smooth as well.
yeah, yeah,
So keep everything uniform. I think that's the biggest thing with tuning is get away from that blockchain tuning style where you're just
yeah,
tuning in blocks.
yeah.
So
Hey,
I
it
see
works
that a
though.
lot. Yeah, it does work. Um, I thought I had a pretty good 6L80 file going already, and I come across a couple of your videos there, and like I said to you, I said, um, the few things I was missing, and you explained very well, help clean that up even better.
Yeah,
So now, I mean, the Blue Cat tool, now that I know how to use it, is
that's a
it's pretty
godsend.
nice.
It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah. I honestly wish they would get the downshifts a little more aggressive,
As
but
far as what?
just like some of the trucks since I started using that, I noticed that the downshifts, even setting that one on 10 like you
Hmm.
do,
Yeah,
it's still just a little lazy to me. Like some of these guys want some aggressive stuff. They want to
yeah.
feel like a race car. I know it's not a
I
race car,
got you.
but
Yeah, yeah. That's where the calculator. I wish it went higher than 10, and I basically wish that downshift axis would just start to move over a little bit.
yeah,
But I mean, realistically, you can just move it up by percentage if you want to.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm doing with the truck I got in today. Is I'm gonna
Yeah.
mess around and see if I can make it a little more aggressive. But
I mean, dude, I'll tell you, there's a lot of guys out there that they'll take the upshift row on Blue Cat and they'll copy it to the downshift row and they'll just subtract like 3 or 4 mile an hour across the board. It makes
yeah,
them
that's
real
a good
spicy
idea.
on downshifts.
Yeah, I
Like,
bet it does.
but it works though. It does. And then you can
Yeah,
tune it from there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The truck I got in today, it tows a trailer, and he's like, "I want the downshifts to be real firm." I said, "Okay, I'll
Yeah.
I'll give it to you."
Yeah. Well, that's how you break input shafts though, with the trailer and the aggressive
This
downshifts.
this
They got to
is
understand
true.
that.
Yeah,
So what I
it's
do, like on something, say something that's cammed, just go in the tow haul mode, and like if you look at the wide open throttle shift point, say the wide open throttle shift point set to like I don't know 5,600 RPM, and you want it to shift at 63, just do the math there. and multiply the entire tow haul table by that. And that'll give them that'll give you a good platform to base your towing tune off of, because GM is a little bit spicier on downshifts. They use a little bit more converter lockup, things like that. So you can just take what they did and make it better.
Yeah. I mean, the stock ECU stuff is something I just recently picked up. You know, I did a little bit here and there for a while. I didn't really enjoy tuning them because, let's face it, some people bring in vehicles that have like, you know, $200 Amazon harness on it. And they got some map sensor from some other car that's not even supposed to be on there. And I was just trying to figure it out. And you know, I got discouraged for a while, but a buddy of mine, Drayson, he's been, you know, kind of helping me work through all the HP tuner stuff. And now that I got a good grasp on it, I enjoy it.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's nice to have something pre-built for you to where you're only making the adjustments for the changes themselves and not starting from scratch. You're not having to build acceleration enrichment tables and all the cold starts. You're not having to do any of that stuff. It's literally just, it's there. It's laid out.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, the more I do it, I'm not saying it's getting easy, but you know, I do mostly just the cammed converter, bolt-ons. I don't do any of the turbo stuff yet. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that everybody, especially on the Gen 3 style ECU, everybody that does forced induction tuning won't do it remotely traditionally.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm sure you've seen, you know, there's just so many dumb issues that people have, and it's like, you know, I just want to recommend everybody, you know, if you're building a turbo car, just build some type of smoke tester or pressure tester or boost leak tester or something. You know, make sure you spend the money on injectors, things like that. Like, don't skimp out on this stuff. And that's what sucks is a lot of the guys that are running stock ECU stuff, they're trying to do it the little bit older, sloppy mechanics way of doing it. But they didn't realize that when Matt Happel was putting out videos like that Matt Happel is a very smart person. So even though he's doing things in a sloppy manner, he's still putting effort into this, you know? And so some of these guys will just see, oh, I'll just throw some snake eater injectors in there and some Chinese map sensor in there and copy his, you know, tune off his repository and call it good. And it's like, there's more to it than that.
Absolutely. And I think across all platforms, the injector thing is one of the biggest downfalls.
100%. Yeah.
I can't tell you, like, guys come to me with snake eaters and go, will you tune them? Because no one will tune them. I says, listen, I will tune it, but if there is any funny business, it says we're stopping right there and you change the injectors or find somebody else.
Yeah.
So I just wrote a couple questions down, just generic stuff.
You're good.
Basically, you know, like I said before we started this, just have people get to know us. Obviously, they watch all our videos, but just, you know, who you are, what you run. And, you know, you work with some pretty big names now, I notice.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing it for a while. I was just more secretive about it. And basically it come down to, I was at Garrett's shop one day and he's like, you're going to be on camera this time. And I'm like, man, are you sure? He's like, if you're going to be making YouTube videos, like, it's fine. Just go in and put it out there. I was like, all right, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it's been fun. But yeah, I've been tuning for, this will be my 19th year. Started on diesels, got in a little bit of trouble with the diesel stuff, as a lot of guys did. And you know, rolled into the stock ECU stuff, and I try to dabble in the aftermarket ECU stuff. But man, the Holley just it's good for the guys that like it, but it's just not my cup of tea, really. So it just got to the point where I'm just trying to focus on stock ECU. And you know, in the early days, I tried to tune everything, and I no longer do, because I realized it was actually more valuable to just try to be the best at, you know, a specific platform or a specific combination of vehicles. And yeah, I mean, so now it's just basically I remote tune all day, every day. And then I've got a dyno I'll go to, you know, right now I'm trying to avoid it because it's, you know, 10 degrees outside, but you know, I've got a dyno that I go to, you know, a couple days a week and travel the world and just have a good time.
Yeah. What, it's kind of a dumb question, but have you ever sat and looked at where you got to and just realize, you know, like myself, being in this position, I'm still like, I can't even believe this even happened.
Yeah, dude, it's we were down in Florida. This was New Year's Eve, or no, it was New Year's Day. And I just looked around at everybody. I'm like, man, I couldn't rewrite this movie that I'm in right now, even if I tried. You know, like, just the series of events that it took to actually get even to this point is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So like the other day I had an email about, tuning one of Rogan's vehicles, like Joe Rogan's cars. And I passed it along because it wasn't my cup of tea, but it's still just the fact of being asked to do that stuff. It's like, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's just a
Yeah.
regular dude figured
Yeah.
something out, and here you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wild ride. I've had some ups and downs. I mean, I went through maybe a year of being really burnt out, just dealing with the amount of messages and emails. And actually, to be honest, I had a really bad run of cars that just wouldn't cooperate.
Yeah.
Like 6 months of trying to figure. For me, Holly's kind of my jam, so an NA vehicle, I mean, it shouldn't take 15, 20 revisions to figure out what the hell's going on with this thing, like,
Right. Yeah.
and that kind of burnt me out for a while. So I'm just getting back into it, feeling
Yeah.
pretty
Dude, trust me.
good. Took a little break.
I've been there. Like that's one of those things that's one of my biggest issues with tuning is when you just get those vehicles where you just have back-to-back vehicles that are just, they make you pull your hair out, and then you don't even want to do them anymore. And so, but dude, I'll tell you right now, the best thing I ever did was just got to the point where I just would call the customer. And I'm like, hey, dude, I can't figure this out. I just, at that point, I won't even charge them for my time. I'm like, look, just take it somewhere else. This is stressing me out. Let me know when you find out what the actual problem is. I'd love to know. But sometimes,
even if it's something simple, like we're not all perfect, but I mean, we do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I have some cars where I just had one actually 2 days ago. This guy, older guy, he's not good with tuning, but he's decent with wiring. He followed all the instructions. I sent him a tune, he sends it back, and I'm like, damn, this thing's within.
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear me right now.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just straight up cut out for a while.
Yeah, we had a bad storm roll in last night, so it might be fighting a little bit of that. But I was just like, it was within 5% already, and I was like, clean it up a little bit, pull a plug. Plug looks good. I'm like, man, this one was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that I do like about Holly is you can it compensates for so much stuff that when you break it down to a theoretical level, you're actually like compensating for a lot of bad data. But the fact that it can do it and do it well, that's one of the perks of Holly to me. And so it's awesome when you get a customer that's got one it's pretty close. You just got to dial it in like that. Like that does make it nice.
Yeah. Something I've been noticing lately too, and I don't think a lot of us talk about it, but I've been getting some injectors. I just had one in the shop the other day, and I'm like, man, this thing is just running funny. Don't know what's going on, right? I'm like, let's check all the plugs. We'll test the wires, make sure all the coils are firing. And I'm like, okay, well, it's got to be injectors. Pull the injectors out. We got, 6 injectors that got a good spray pattern, and they're all clean. But then we got the other 3 or 2 or 3 that, the spray pattern is all screwed up on them. And I'm like, well, this is a problem that maybe many people are dealing with because, as tuning in VE, the numbers are the numbers, the VE's the VE. So when it starts getting skewed way out of place, something's going on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it just happened to be, and they're quality injectors from a good place, but I just don't know what's going on. So
man,
we're
when
sending them back, get them looked at.
Yeah, like usually when I see something like that, it usually comes down to guys building their fuel lines and not blowing them out, and that PTFE just getting in the injectors. And usually it goes to the injectors that are on the ends of the rails or however you got it set up. And I mean, I see that more than anything.
I mean, we cleaned them, we backflowed them, we tested them like 2 hours worth of stuff, and I mean, they just won't come around. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, but we're sending them back, getting them looked at, and probably get the 2 changed out. But I mean, it's crazy to see how much they all flow the same, just the spray pattern's different, causing weird issues.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been noticing a lot, especially with the cheaper injectors.
Well, that's one thing. Like with the Holly stuff, is man, if they at least have a fuel pressure sensor and just the basics to where you can look over it, and then if the VE is still off, you got a problem at that point.
That's one big thing with the Holly too. I don't like is most people don't run a fuel pressure sensor,
Yeah.
just because a lot of guys are just running the stock rail. They don't plumb it in, I
Yeah.
mean, you can make it off the Schrader valve or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah.
Fuel
See
pressure.
that.
You can always tell it. Duty cycle goes to 100. It's trying to add 25% or whatever. You
Yeah.
got closed loop set on, but no fuel pressure sensor. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you had a pump.
Yeah. And I've gotten to the point now where I pretty much require it. And I actually took Holly stuff off my website just because I don't even want to argue with these people anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
if you're doing this, like these guys need to understand, it's not that expensive to put a fuel pressure sensor on there, but the fact that you can build a fuel pressure compensation table, with the 2D advanced table and actually have it, help save itself. Like it really needs it. Like it really does.
Yeah. I had one guy maybe about a year ago. He goes, "Oh man, my truck runs really good, but plugs are really clean." I look at his tune the whole way down the track. It's like 16 AFR. I don't even know how he was even doing pulls. He says it runs great. Yeah, spicy.
Well, when you run into situations like that, it's usually because the guys don't actually care about that engine. So the guys that they'll slam an engine together, dude, they have the best luck. But the guys that are like super detailed, they're the ones that their shit will blow up, if it goes even above 12.6 air fuel.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I got this one buddy. He's so meticulous. Like he won't even assemble his engine in his garage if the fan's on because of dust. But he cannot keep an engine together to save his life.
Yeah.
One time I used to have a VR6. I put it rear wheel drive in my S14.
Yeah.
And one time, I knocked a rod out of the motor. I was like, okay, well, I got this block sitting under my bench for the last, I don't know, 6-7 years, not even covered up. Pull a thing out, blow all the dirt out of it, put it all together. And I ran that engine for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of my buddy. I'm like, man, you got some bad luck.
Dude, I'll tell you right now.
I mean, it's surrounded by. Go ahead.
When it comes to, LS stuff or LT stuff or anything, all these guys that want to do these swaps, the first thing they want to do is they want to do a rebuild and trunnion upgrade and all this stuff. Like, just throw it in there. And if it's got oil pressure, run it, and like when I'm going to pick out a motor at a junkyard, don't give me the clean one. Give me the one that's got all the oil sludge. Give me all because they're the best engines. They really are. And just all these guys that overthink this stuff, man, especially with modern machine shops. I mean, these machine shops, they struggle to get a good quality rebuild together. Yeah. You'll see some of these old school machine shops where they're using plastic gauge and things like that. It's like, you don't do that. Like, that's not how this is supposed to be done. Yeah. But the guys that just slam, the don't pay attention to the cam bearings, just shove the motor in there and stab a camshaft in there with your eyes closed, do those things run forever.
It's funny because I get the message all the time. My vehicle's got 280,000 kilometers on it, which is like 170,000 miles or whatever. Is it worth tuning? I said that's the best time to tune it.
Hell yeah, it is. Get that built-in ring gap. We're ready to go.
Yeah. So, how's YouTube life?
I've been avoiding it here lately.
Yeah.
It's just, man, it's one of those things where the remote tune sales go through the roof every time I post a video. And obviously, as you just like you are, you're one person and you want to have you want to put all your effort into these tunes. Well, if I've got 50 tunes that sell overnight, I've got to be able to dedicate that time to those people. So I'll literally just stop posting videos and stop answering emails and just try to make sure these people get handled before I do another one. And so that's where I'm at right now, is just trying to find that balance of, gaining business from it, but also putting these videos out, so I'm going to start talking to guys and just have a list of like, remote tuners that I trust. And just in the videos, just start having a list going of like the guys you don't trust and the guys you do trust, that as far as my opinion goes, and just try to help get others business, because I'm telling you, that's the only reason why I don't do these videos right now, is just, it's a struggle to stay afloat with the remote tuning stuff and the video stuff.
Absolutely. We kind of grew into, I was always a fabricator, but we grew into, a bigger shop and all this other stuff. And man, has it been a lesson trying to juggle all this stuff and be punctual. That's the biggest thing, because I can't sit on the phone all day. I mean, I try, but the messages, emails, taking care of the people that have already paid you. I feel like I feel like a lot of the people that message, probably yourself and myself, don't actually spend any money.
Yeah.
Right. And that's fine. Like, I'm here to help people, but I mean, at the end of the day, you still gotta look after the people that actually pay your paycheck. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, if
sometimes
somebody,
I do shut down just like you, but you get a bad name for doing that, you know?
yeah, I don't care about that part. That part just everybody can have their own opinion, because my customers know that I'm there for them, and that, you know, I will literally stick with them for months if that's what it takes to make sure their shit's dialed in right.
Yeah.
But I just got to the point. I mean, if you're struggling with it, just don't answer anything on Messenger about, you know, tuning anymore. Just have it where it's website only or email only, and just try to
I
cut
try.
down. Did you?
Yeah,
Like, did you
I
try?
post I always post. I say, you make sure you email me if you want to. You know, I still
Yeah.
go through Messenger trying to get it, but I mean, you know as well as I do, you get 15 messages in the morning, and you check 4 or 5 of them, and then you get, you know, by the time you get back to it, you've got another 15, and it just keeps
Yeah.
going down the list. And
Yeah.
so sometimes, some days when I'm not busy, you know, I go all the way down. I'm like, shit. One of my
Yeah.
good buddies messaged me like 3 weeks ago. I haven't even
Yeah.
answered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I just don't do it at all. I literally will refuse to answer a message over Facebook about tuning. I mean, I don't, and I pinned a post at the top of my page, and the same on my Instagram. And if they can't read that, then I don't want them as a customer anyways, because it's pretty simple. Like, if you click on my profile, that's the first thing that pops up is email me or message the website.
Yeah, I didn't think about the pinned post. I should do that too.
Yeah, definitely.
So it definitely helps. I mean, email allows it to be a little more organized because it keeps the shit highlighted at the top. You know what I mean? So you can go through, and you got 20 unanswered messages. Okay, which one can I answer quickly? Get that gone. And yeah, I mean, I try to do them in order, but
like from the bottom up, like oldest to newest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. And that's one thing that you can explain to people is you'll get some of those guys where they'll email you back to back to back to back. And when you finally get to their email, just be like, hey, dude, I do all my emails are sorted from oldest to newest. So every time you've emailed me, you push yourself back up to the top. So if you can, just wait for me to reply. And I promise you, we can have this conversation fairly rapidly if you follow those steps. Just like guys that start a new email chain is, no, I'm not dealing with that either. Like, you email me right here. This is our email chain.
Yeah, the biggest thing for that, and if people are listening, which I'm sure there will be, the biggest thing for keeping it in the same email chain is because we deal with so many people. And when we go into your thing, we can remind ourselves of what's going on.
Right.
I can't remember everybody. Like, I have a few customers that I work with all the time. I can remember their stuff, but
you'll just randomly get just a random data log from somebody's email. Then you got to, you know, copy their email, figure out, you know, what all y'all talked about, how many other times they've emailed. Like, yeah, just it really delays the process. It really does.
Or you get an email from a guy named Candyman. You don't know who the fuck it is.
Yeah. Don't know his actual name. Yeah.
Like, who is this? And then 2 weeks go by, and they're like, "How come you haven't answered my email on Messenger?" And I'm like, I don't know who Candyman is.
Well, that was another reason why I went to the website stuff, is because the website, I can pull up everybody's email, so I can figure out who it is by email. But
yeah, the website's definitely helped me too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What I know I stress this in almost every podcast and my posts, but what are some of the things that are detrimental to getting a good tune from you? Like, what do you make sure you get from people?
As far as like information goes?
Yeah, like information or anything. Actually, like what should people do before even contacting someone like yourself?
So,
like, some pointers to have your shit sorted out.
Ideally, get on Amazon and buy a cheap smoke machine. And I would prefer that every vehicle that I tune be smoke tested first and foremost. Stock ECU stuff, if it's drive-by-wire, clean the throttle body up. Like, we're literally, you know, trying to tune this thing based off of its current conditions. So if I'm building an idle airflow table off of a dirty throttle body, and then you clean it, and then all of a sudden it's high idle or got a bunch of idle trims or something like that, like, you know, just try to make sure, you know, injectors are good, spark plugs are good, spark plug wires are off the headers. I guarantee you 75% of the vehicles that I tune have burnt plug wires on them. And the thing is, all right, we can go in and make this clear right now. Those DEI boots the heat boots that go over your spark plug wires do
suck.
not work.
Yeah.
They're meant for indirect heat, meaning if there's a little bit of an air gap there, they'll work. But as soon as they're touching your headers, they're going to burn your wires, and you're not going to see the burnt boot, and you'll never know.
Yeah,
Those
I can't tell you how many times I've changed plug wires on cars or got customers to change. They're like, they're brand new. I'm like, that don't matter.
Yeah.
Grab a voltmeter. And then they voltmeter it, and they're like, holy crap, it's got like 200 ohms on this thing, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, pull the boot off. Oh, sure shit, burnt right through.
Yeah, and then you'll get some customers, and I want everybody that's watching this to know, like, don't say this to your tuner, but you'll get the customers that'll say, well, can you just do the best you can? It's like, dude, you're on 7 cylinders right now. We've got one wideband. It's averaging all 8 cylinders, so that one dead hole, is skewing all the everything. And stock ECU, if your airflow model's wrong, your timing's wrong, the torque model's, everything's wrong. So just going over the basics, like it's that's one of the biggest things about being a tuner is being the best that you can be at diagnostics. Like the tuning part really isn't as hard as everybody makes it out to be. It's the diagnosing part that is. So you'll have these guys where they'll bounce from shop to shop to shop, and I've had these guys tune it, but it's not right. And it's like, oh, well, dude, you've got a rocker arm off right now. Like, of course it's not going to be right. So that's been my biggest, I think that's probably been one of the best things that I've done personally to get bigger into this automotive community is just being good at diagnostics. Like I find some of the dumbest things wrong.
I've had a few people where they're driving around for 4 or 5 months, and I told them right from the get-go, I'm like, this VE table seems wrong, right? Like there's something going on, but they're like, oh, it runs great. Okay. Yeah. And then 6 months go by, and they're like, hey, I found a dead coil. Now all of a sudden I'm back on 8 cylinders. This thing makes like 50 more horsepower. Of course it does. Yeah. But I mean, this game is weird. I'm still learning every day. I've been doing it roughly 5 or 6 years now. I mean, I was doing it just for friends, but as a business, doing it full time, it's been, 5 years.
Yeah.
But I still haven't seen it all. Every couple days, somebody reminds you that you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But what, I know you spend a lot of time with Garrett and all those guys, but what's been your craziest moment working with them? I know they're busy boys, so.
Yeah. I mean, every time I'm around them, there's always something going on, but I mean, it was cool to ride in the Blackhawk. We took that out and flew it around for a little bit, so that was cool. Garrett's actually really good at doing aerobatics in helicopters, and I love roller coasters and I love going fast, but when you're in a helicopter and he pulls that stick back and you go vertical, they call it the hammerhead, and so you literally go up vertical, and it will literally stall out in speed where you go like weightless. And then he kicks the ass end around and faces you straight down at the ground and then pulls it back. And one thing that if you've never been in a helicopter, you don't realize is airplanes, when they do stuff like that, they're fairly smooth. Helicopters shake violently and everything's going crazy. And he's just over there laughing, and you're like turning like white, like a ghost, and trying to hold on for dear life. But no, it's cool being around a group of guys where you can basically say something, hey, do this, and they'll do it. It's like Jackass of the automotive community. And what's cool is when they do it, they're successful with it and they do it the right way.
Yeah.
But that's probably been the most fun I've had, is just hanging out with them and going to all the races and meeting all the people. Like it's weird being able to go out and have a beer with like Travis Pastrana or something, guys that, as a kid, I'm looking up to these guys, and now it's like they're just standing right beside me, and I'm like, holy shit, like, is that who I think that is?
And where are you from?
I'm from Nashville.
Okay, so it's a trek for you to get to Florida then.
Yeah, about an hour flight.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, like I'm an adrenaline junkie, but I don't think you'd catch me in a helicopter.
Yeah, well, the thing is, he'll at least ask you if it's okay. Like he's actually extremely safe, and he, whenever we're leaving the house, he still does all his flight checks. Like he takes this stuff very, very, very seriously. But he'll ask you if you're cool with it, and if you're cool with it, like he'll do it, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But that's probably been one of those. That's probably been the most aggressive thing that I've done, because it got to the point where cars have gotten so fast that, you know, it's nothing to be in a 2,000 horsepower car. You know, whereas back in the day, man, 400 or 500 horsepower, you were the shit back then. So cars just really don't do it for me anymore. So now I just, you know, I drive around an old diesel and ride my motorcycles, and I don't even care about fast cars other than my friend stuff. Like, because I don't want to have to pay for it. You know, that's the cool part. You know, a lot of guys ask me like, why don't you have a cool car? It's like, well, because you pay me to drive yours. So you front all the
joy.
money.
Yeah, that's one joy I like about this job. Sometimes I get some cool cars. I had this Cobra get dropped off to me, a supercharged small block Chevy, just a little tiny car, barely fit in the thing, you know. But driving that thing around and tuning it, like, it was a blast. I'm like, this is what this job is supposed to be.
Yeah.
But and the guy was actually pretty cool, because I messaged him. I says, "You're cool with me getting on it a couple times. Like, I have to check wide open throttle, you know, his stick shift." He's like, "Yeah, man." So he's like, "Just make sure you take a video." So I got my buddy in the passenger seat taking a video, and just third gear, just annihilating the tires. It had no traction, it's so light, right? But send that to the customer. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait to fucking pick this up."
Well, see, I used to really enjoy that part, but I actually won't even go wide open throttle in a customer car anymore on the street. I was in a swapped, I don't know, it was probably like a 56 Ford or something, you know, just an old pickup truck, driving down the road. And as soon as I went to lay in it, the steering shaft came out of it, like out of the gearbox.
Stuff like that does scare me a little bit. I do some good checks before I drive them, make sure the wheels worked and all that. But yeah, that is something I should probably consider. You know, I haven't had that happen yet, thankfully. But yeah. I live in the country too, so most of the roads that I'm driving down, there's, you know, maybe 3-4 houses on the road. So,
oh, okay. Yeah. See, we've got police everywhere and traffic everywhere, and it's really, there's nowhere I can really, you know, do any good pulls anyway. So that's why I just try to push the dyno stuff. You know, I'll drive them around on the street and make sure everything's perfect there, but you know, it's usually going to the dyno, get it as close as possible, and then hope that they go to the track and send you some data from there.
Yeah. Nashville's a busy place. I've been there twice.
Man, I swear, because you're from Canada, right?
Yeah.
We have so many Canadians here that come down here and as tourists. I would have never guessed it, you know, because I grew up here. So this town to me is just like, it's home. You know, why are y'all here? But it's funny now because, you know, used to, we would go down to Florida on vacation. Well, now all the Florida people are coming up for all their bachelorette parties and all that shit.
Yeah.
Like, this place has become a party town for sure.
The only thing I didn't like, so we went to that Dick's restaurant or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good time. But one thing I didn't like in the core downtown, right where Dick's is there, is the smell of shit.
Yeah.
It's
bad.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of homeless people and stuff there, right?
Well, that, and then the river is right there. And then, of course, Broadway is all downhill. So literally shit rolls downhill. So everything that's coming from up the hill, every time it rains, just drains down in all those drains at the bottom of the hills. And then one of the biggest things that's causing that smell is every time, you know, they're building these new bars. I mean, they've got sewers opened up. They've got, you know, septic tanks opened up. Like, it's disgusting. Like, when they're building a new apartment building and you walk around it, it's nasty. But it is what it is. I go down there to entertain everybody else, but I come back because I actually live just on a suburb of Nashville. So it's like a 10-minute drive for me. So I can get out to my house and it's like farmland and, you know,
I feel like everything in Nashville is 10, 15 minutes away from each other.
Yeah. That's what makes it nice.
Yeah. We were checking I'm glad I drove down because we were going to fly down. So I took the missus down there. I mean, we watched that Nashville show and all that stuff. So we went to the Bluebird Cafe but I was like, thankfully we drove. I'm like, fuck, we were going to take cabs everywhere. And it's like, oh, the Opry's here and the Bluebird Cafe is over here and this place is over here. I'm like, man, the Opry was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not a country guy really, but you know, we went in and we were in the change rooms and,
oh yeah, did the backstage tour.
Yeah, Blake Shelton or whatever his name is. He had his name on, or you know, a sticker on the chair where he was sitting. So I sat in his chair. You know, I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool.
It's Nashville's fun for me to bring everybody in and let them experience it a couple times. And then usually it's like they don't want to come back for a little bit because it's just so much. You know, there's
a lot going on there.
Yeah, and everybody just parties so hard. I mean, I've literally carried some of these YouTubers that you know y'all are watching. I've carried them to the truck and carried them into my house and like just threw them on the couch and like there you go. Like they get a little rowdy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rowdy place. I mean, if you're going to Nashville, shit's gonna get rowdy. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, between Nashville, I think the funnest place I went to is actually Memphis.
Okay.
It's just as rowdy there, you know, and it's that big wheel crowd is, you know, they're fun.
Yeah, so the car community there is good. I don't recommend going to Memphis just to hang out though.
No. So I remember the first time I flew down there to go hang out with Justin and the guys. We were going to Jackson, Mississippi, the Jackson racetrack to go test or whatever.
That's a cool little track.
Yeah, we went through this. Actually, fun fact: the owner of Jackson is a huge collector. Like this guy owns probably 5 miles of a stretch of land, and it's full of everything: old cars, new cars, dump trucks, equipment. He's probably got millions and millions of dollars in cars. He's got a little museum. Like, guy's got a lot of money, right? But anyways, we were going there, and it was probably 2:30. And this is the thing about Jackson: we can go there, race all night long, and they don't care. But we're going through this sketchy neighborhood. We stop at this gas station. Obviously, it's my first time there. All I see is the bad shit on TV. So we get to the gas station, and I'm talking to one guy. I'm like, can I get out of the truck? Like, am I allowed to get out of the truck? He's like, no, you should probably stay in the truck in this neighborhood. I said, you got it. I said, I'm not going in the store.
Yeah. Memphis definitely has its cool spots and its rough spots, and Jackson's the same way. I mean, pretty much. I mean, it's just urban areas in general, really. I mean, American urban areas, you know, they've got some spots that you just probably shouldn't go to.
I've never seen so many hookers on one stretch of road in my life.
Well, and to make it clear, it is illegal there for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it doesn't seem like it.
They don't care.
No. I mean, they got other things to worry about. I think the first night that I was there, when we got back from the track, I had read the next day they had some concert there, and that's when the guy got shot at and 2 people got shot. Right? Like,
golly.
You hear bullets all the time. Actually, I lie. That's my funnest time was probably New Orleans. Now that I think about it, because we went there. Well, we went to the pad, right?
Yeah.
And it was New Year's, and when you roll into that truck stop, there was already 400 or 500 people there, and then they're like, okay, everybody, we're going to go to the pad in stages so we don't clog the road up. We start driving because I'm one of the first ones to race. And we get to the pad, there's like 5,000 vehicles there. I'm like, so much for being discreet.
Yeah.
But between the cops. So we started racing. We got shut down. Then they're like, come back at 7:00. So, well, what the fuck are we going to do? We go K1 Carton. We go back at 7:00. They say, yeah, we can't go yet. Come back at midnight. So I'm like, okay. We go find a no prep event that they're hosting. So we go race this no prep event, then go back to the pad, race the pad, then drive 16 hours home. Yeah. So it was 3 days solid of no sleep.
It does sound like fun though.
It was a blast. So at midnight, and I come from Canada, okay? We have guns, but it's hunting rifles and and shotguns and this and that. We don't have handguns. We don't have machine guns. We don't got none of that stuff. But at midnight in New Orleans, it literally sounded like Afghanistan. Yeah. If I could imagine what Afghanistan sounded like, that's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Just people firing off in every direction. Like it was crazy. I had a buddy with me that's from Canada, and he was getting nervous, right? He's like, "Are we gonna get hit with stray bullets or what's going on?" I said, "Don't worry about
bullets
it.
Fall. Yeah, that's one thing is like people that shoot up into the sky, like they got to understand, like it comes back down. You know, you're not shooting into space.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun trip, actually. And that's one thing of being in our position. You know, some of the guys that bring us down, you don't know what to expect. You know, you get good friends out of this as well. Like,
oh yeah,
we're in touch, you know, a couple times a week. You know, they basically treat me like family down there.
yeah, that's
And,
awesome.
you know, I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't, you know, finally pick up the lab. I was always scared to tune, you know.
Yeah,
I'm kind of a hands-on learner, so you know, now that I understand what's going on, like I can watch some of your videos and understand what you're doing and why we do it. But when I first started, I was so scared to get into tuning. I was just paying people, you know, $600 here, 200 there. But no, it's a fun gig. It
it
can be
really is.
fun, but it can be tough too. So
Yeah. Well, like I said, the biggest thing is if you're going to do it professionally, is to stop caring about what everybody else thinks about you. Just
that's
let your
yeah,
work speak for itself. And most of the guys they'll bash me. I've probably never tuned for them before. It's probably that I didn't reply to their email, or they've got some Chinese sheet metal intake and a Chinese throttle body on their car, and I didn't want to tune it. Like you just got to stop caring when it comes to that stuff. Just be the best tuner that you can be always, but you're not paid to be their friend. And that's one thing. That's what sucks about the job is everybody just assumes that because I'm tuning your car, like we're buddies. And it's like, yeah, man, we're cool, but don't send me Instagram reels at 2:00 in the morning. Like we're not that cool,
yeah.
So,
Oh,
but it's like they have to understand, like this is their hobby, but this is still our job, and it's our hobby too, but it's primarily our
yes.
job.
That's actually a very good point, and that's something that doesn't get discussed because I get a lot of guys that'll send me stuff, and not that they expect me to do it for free, but I think they kind of think, you know, hey, I'm gonna, you know, just a couple revisions, it's no big deal. But you got to remember, this is our job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's your hobby, and I think that's where it gets mixed up sometimes with social media and the remote tuning thing, and
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
why I got burned out. I mean, like you said, you get messages at 12 in the morning saying, "Hey, can you log on real quick?"
Yeah.
Motherfucker, I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's uh it's an eye opener, this
Yeah.
whole thing. And I'm sure it's an eye opener for you just being, I mean, I think you're a few levels above where I'm at. I mean, with your contacts and I mean, the experiences must be just crazy.
It
So
is, but that was one of the reasons. Like earlier, you were talking about being punctual at your shop, and that's why I can't have a shop. Because I mean, dude, I was tuning at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Like if I've got a lot of customers out in the Middle East, Australia, and I've got to be kind of available for them. Like I don't have to be, but I try to be. So I'll just try to split it up to where I may not actually start tuning until some mornings it may be 10 or 11 o'clock, but I'll maybe up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to try to
yeah.
cover their schedule too. So
Yeah,
that
Australia 16 hours ahead, right?
it was
So
it was 11 at whatever this guy. I think it's in Victoria, but it says plus 11 for me, and so I sent him a revision. I think I woke up early this morning because I fell asleep on the couch last night, but I think I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning, and I sent him a revision, and it was like 9:30 his time or something like that, like at night. But so I'll work weird hours. So because of that, I was just one of the reasons why I didn't want to do a shop anymore. And I don't want to be available for the dyno stuff because, if one bad day on the dyno with a customer's vehicle, a lot of guys don't understand. Like, when we charge for dyno tuning, we're kind of there until the end. Whereas with remote tuning, if you run into an issue, it's okay, let's put a pause on this, fix it, and roll on. But the dyno stuff, one bad car, you may be 7-8 hours that day that's gone because of something that they missed. Whereas remote tuning, man, it's like we can just, all right, cool, just let me know when it's fixed. So
and that's definitely a problem, especially when you plan like say 4 or 5 hours for a basic setup on the dyno, right? And then all of a sudden it turns into a 2 day process. Car's still sitting on the dyno. That puts the whole schedule behind.
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So like even when I'm on the dyno now, I don't have tools. I purposely do not bring tools. I have an oxygen sensor wrench, just the stuff that I personally need. But if you bring a vehicle in and it needs spark plugs or needs something else, there's another shop that's like this is like a little side building to a big shop. And I'll tell them like you can schedule your mechanical work with them, but I don't work on stuff here. And I do that on purpose because every time that somebody's like, well, hey, can we just go and throw a set of plugs in? It's like, well, then the plugs didn't fix it. Well, hey, can we swap around the coils or can we swap around the injectors? And it turns into diagnosing that stuff. But they don't want to pay more money for the labor side. It's almost like you're stuck into it because they're wanting you to tune their vehicle. That's almost like, well, this is your tuning time, so we're just going to use this for mechanical time also. It's like, no, that's not how this works. So that's why I do a lot of the freelance stuff, man. It's so much more. I can live life. I can go take a cruise for a week and still stay caught up on tunes if I need to.
Yeah, you just take your laptop with it.
Yeah, I've literally sat on the back deck of a cruise boat while doing remote tunes.
Well, I mean, you were laying in bed doing tunes this morning. So.
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, my dog is still asleep. Like, so when we're off of here, I'll probably go get back in bed and lay there with my laptop. And I mean, it's peaceful. Blinds are closed, lights are off, like just chilling.
They had a pretty killer deal on these pretty expensive massage chairs, right? The ones that wrap your legs and they got the Bluetooth and the speakers. Yeah. So that thing's coming in next week, and I'm like, fuck, this is gonna ruin me. I'm gonna sit at home in my chair.
Yeah,
the guys are gonna be at the shop, and you're not gonna see me ever again.
Yeah, well, that's like whenever I did the video with Mr. Sam, like trying to teach him how to tune. I was working on the giveaway truck that week. Well, I was staying at Garrett's house, and Garrett he's got a massage chair, and so it's like you have like basically like when you stay there, you have like your own apartment, but. So in the video, at the very beginning of the video, you actually see me in the chair, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't film an intro, so here's the intro. Let's get into the video. But I'm sitting in this massage chair. I laid there and edited that video for like 2.5 hours, and I had a bunch of twisted teas and things like that, just chilling in the massage chair. I was hammered by the end of that video, to where in the outro of the video, like you can tell, like I'm done. But that massage chair, man, that was where it was at. So
yeah, it's funny. James, he's 240 guy, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And before I was even tuning or anything, like I used to message him back in the day for 240 tips and all this stuff. Had no idea he was friends with Garrett or doing the YouTube thing. And one day someone sent me a video of his S13, and I was like, I know that fucking car. Yeah. And then I was like, oh shit. I'm like, I had no idea James was this involved,
Yeah, dude.
It's like, that's pretty cool.
He's hooked on the 240s. He's got several at his house, and he's got some nice ones, and he's got some shit boxes. Like a lot of the videos, you actually see a little 240 off to the side. He's got like a little shitbox 240 that he drives. That's just, I mean, the paint's faded off of it, and the interior's decent on it, but it's just a stock car stick shift, and he will pull out of that shop, fling it sideways right away. You can hear the exhaust leaks, you can hear timing chains slapping around, like. But
there's two style of cars, manufacturers that people get really hooked on, and if you have owned a Volkswagen, you're a Volkswagen through and through, and if you own a 240, you're a 240 through and through.
Yeah, but here's the weird part about that though is if you notice, the 240 guys don't actually have like a look to them. Like you can look at a Volkswagen guy and pretty much be like, okay, that guy likes Volkswagens, and I can't even explain what it is, because I'm not saying it's like a specific clothing style or hat style or tattoo style or whatever, but it's just like there's something that you can just look at and be like, all right, that dude, he's a Volkswagen guy. 240 guys, man, you never know. I would have never guessed you as being a 240 guy,
See, I was a Volkswagen guy, right? And then I put the Volkswagen shit in my 240. Then I got addicted to the 240, and now I mean, they're a good car. Like they perform well, they're balanced well. I mean, they're kind of small I'm not tall, but I was pretty chubby, so they're pretty small, but
yeah.
I don't know, I just like them. I even kept my last one IRS right up until I sold it. And I mean, it worked pretty good for what it was.
Yeah. Well, I know Logan had one for a while too. That was IRS still, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm talking about Logan Tarrant. I think so. Is that how you say his last name? I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was limited, don't get me wrong. Just backside no prep street racing style stuff. It was hard to make it consistent, but when it worked, it worked. And when it didn't. But
well, when you're working with that IRS car like that, like are you loading like sandbags in the trunk on the alignment rack or strapping it down? Are you? Okay.
Yeah. I had so my car, if I just did backside stuff, it weighed in at about 3,480. And then if I was on the street, it would be almost 3,700 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. 50, I think at 3,700 pounds. It was 57.5% rear bias.
And then did you have to realign the car for different weights?
So yeah, that was one thing I stayed on top of. A lot of people don't understand. Even this goes for, you know, Corvette and whatever. The camber of the rear wheels before the car is squatted is the most important when racing an IRS car. Because when you get that car squatting, you want them to be straight.
Right.
So you would see my car, it would be like the tops of the tires would be sticking out of the wheel well, but when that thing hit, it would straighten right out and I'd have full contact patch.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of the 4-wheel drive guys are getting into now is the front end alignment's doing the same thing. Like the Dale truck, I mean, they specifically aligned it with the front end up, and that way, you know, when you see it going down track, it's the alignment looks funny, but as soon as it lifts up, then everything looks correct and it rolls on.
Yeah, some of this racing takes some out of box thinking, right? Like the car might not look the best with an alignment like that, but like you said, when you're going down the track, that's where it matters.
Yeah.
So, but what's your favorite vehicle?
Like as far as specific vehicle or like platform?
I mean, how about both?
Okay. Well, I mean,
obviously GM.
Yeah. I like the simplicity of GM and especially the older Silverados, you know, like the, you know, 9906 trucks. Those trucks, they just drove so nice and they were just fun trucks. So that's kind of where I got started. But man, I actually like second gen Dodge, like diesels. Yeah. Like even some of the half ton stuff, you know, I like those older trucks like that. But when it comes to, favorite vehicles, I don't know. It'd probably honestly be the Mini TRX that Garrett has. Like that thing is just it's so much fun to drive and be in. You know, so that or it's honestly probably my favorite vehicles. I would say that or the red GMC giveaway truck. Like both of those are just so well done. But I'm a truck guy. Like I get so irritated with Corvettes, you know, having to get in and out of them, especially if they got a roll cage or something in there,
or if you have to work on them. There ain't no room.
Yeah, like a day on the dyno with a Corvette with a roll cage, like you'll come home and I mean I'm 38 years old, like my back's hurting climbing in and out of that car, you know.
I'm glad it's not just me. I'm not a bitch. Yeah, it's everybody. So
yeah.
I'm a truck guy too. I got a 4th gen mega cab diesel.
Nice.
I prefer the older Dodges. The only thing I don't like about the older Dodges is the interior.
Yeah.
You know, I got a limited, so it's got heated steering wheel. It's all black. It's super nice. I wish I could stuff that into like an older Gen 2 Dodge.
Well, now my second gen has heated seats. It don't have a heated steering wheel, but it's got heated seats. I've got a new Silverado. Like I've got a 23 Silverado that's lifted and, you know, all that stuff. And that's just like my quiet, just get to work and back, do what it needs to do kind of truck. But if I'm actually wanting to get out and like be in a vehicle that I enjoy, I'll jump in my second gen.
Yeah. I think my second favorite daily is honestly Audi.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever driven an Audi or anything.
Yeah, I used to buy and sell Audis. So that's all I would move 20 or 30 of those a month.
Oh, really? So, yeah, I got a 15 S4. I mean, for a daily, it's perfect. I mean, it's weapon in the winter. I mean, it's comfortable. It's got little quirks, obviously, but
buttons peeling and the pixels going out on the dash and
if the dash decides to work.
yeah.
So mine's a swap car. Like it was originally A4. I bought a wrecked S4 from auction, and I just swapped every single thing into it, wires, everything.
Now, did you do like the 4.2 V8 or is it which?
I got the 3-liter supercharged 6.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so it's got I got a couple ABS lights. I got to figure out still, but it's a daily, so I don't even bother. But it's a fun car. I mean, it probably makes 300 horsepower ish.
Yeah.
I mean, it works good. So
does it still smell like crayons?
Always. Every fucking vehicle smells like crayons.
See, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's like the glue or something that they use in the headlight. Something, but they all
the
smell
MK4
like
Jettas and Golfs were the worst. They're fucking 25 years old and they still smell like a fresh pack of crayons.
Yeah, I don't get it. Dude, I had a buddy of mine that had like a 03 GTI that just sat out in the field for like 8 years. And it was sunroof car. So eventually the seals went bad and it started to fill up with water. And so you had that mold and mildewy smell. Well, he decided he wanted to get it back out and like restore it back to what it was. So he got one of these like ozone machines that I guess they use at the dealerships, all these places where when you have like a flooded vehicle, you know, to make it smell better. So you put it in there and I guess you seal up the car for days, right? So you have a car that sat for 8 years with mold, mildew, and water. When that thing was done, it still smelled like crayons.
I don't get it.
I don't either.
It's like their signature smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Audis. The biggest thing is like when I'd go pick up an A4, say I'd go buy an A4 in like Boston or Daytona or somewhere and then drive it back home. I had to fly on an airplane with a couple of coil packs in my backpack.
I haven't had any issues with coil packs. I've been lucky.
Yeah. Well, now, granted, these were the older ones. They were like the was the B5s, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I forget all the names and acronyms and stuff, but it was like 2.0 turbo, 1.8 turbos. Yep. Dude, I literally had 2 or 3 coil packs in my backpack at any given time. And what was crazy was a lot of times it was just they were overheating, like almost like Audi runs too much dwell time or something in them. So there was one trip, like I was coming back from somewhere up north, maybe like New Hartford, Connecticut or something like that. And I actually was swapping out coils. You'd feel one drop out, I'd pull over, I'd swap it out. Well, then I had a backpack full of the coils that I'd already pulled out of the car, would start missing again. And I just grab one of those old ones, throw it back in the car and start working again. Mm-hmm. So it was really strange, but
no, otherwise I got screwed from the 2-liter piston rings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That thing was driving down the road like it was a diesel truck on max fuel.
Yeah.
So yeah. I figured out like after a while driving it, because I get to an intersection and all the smoke would just come into the intersection. It's embarrassing, you know?
Yeah.
But I figured out that if I drive up and I pop the thing in neutral coming up to the light, the vacuum wouldn't suck so much of the oil in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Smoky, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that for about a year, and then I found that S4 in auction. I said, you know what? I'm just switching it out.
Yeah. But so no,
go ahead.
I used to have, vehicles that I'd be obsessed about, but it just over time, I mean, again, when this is your job for as long as it is, like you get bored of it. But I mean, I liked SRT4s when they come out. I thought that was the coolest thing. So, I mean, I probably had 40 or 50 of those. Little Dakota RTs, I thought those were cool.
The Dakota RTs were fucking awesome back in the day. I had one too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course,
just way nasty burnouts.
Yeah, and then F bodies were always good. I mean, you've got those kind of cars, but yeah, man, now it's just I've got motorcycles and boats and everything else, but I just don't really care about the actual car platform anymore.
I'm still not there yet. My next goal, so I grew up, single mom. We had what we needed, and she did her best to get us, toys and whatever. But my next goal is either an R8, like a 2010 R8, or like a 06 to 09 Gallardo.
Okay.
And then just to say that I worked enough, I bought one, I'll drive it for a year or two, and then get rid of it because they don't lose much value, right? So,
yeah. Well, that's actually where I'm at right now is once I become successful, I always thought I was going to buy a Lambo or something. Yeah. No, I'm just doing $100,000 build on this second gen, and it's going to literally have supercar money in it. But it's one of those things where, man, it's like I was only wanting one of those cars, which of course you're a Volkswagen guy, so of course you're going to go after the German car. But I was never a German car guy, so I would basically just be buying it just to show off to people and be like, look at what I can afford. But now
I kind of thought about that, right? Like that's not the reason why I want to buy it. So I have a couple friends that have these cars, right? And they, they got lots of money. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. And maybe they did buy it to show off or whatever. But sometimes they explain like the experience of just driving one, like going into the gas station and the people and talking with people and just I want to experience what that's like because I've never had money, like I've always just worked my ass off for my money.
I totally get it. Well, see, I hate people though. Like
so do I, but I can deal like usually when I pull so my S14 with the VR6 in it didn't matter where I went. You could have all these race cars around it. I pulled in, air the thing out on slicks, because it was on air right at the time. Just walk away, and there would be 20, 30, 40 people around this thing looking at it. It was a shit box. I never
Yeah.
understood why people liked it,
Yeah.
but that's what I would do. I would go in, park, and immediately run away. That way I didn't
Yeah.
have to talk to anybody, but I'm
Yeah,
getting
see,
better. This job
yeah.
has made me better dealing with people, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'll tell you though, as if you buy an R8 or you buy a Lambo, the cool part is that actually will open up even more doors for you. So
it's the
that is
look. It's
it
the look,
is.
right?
It is.
So I try to explain this to my buddy because my buddy thinks I'm an idiot for even thinking about doing that. And he's a pretty, laid back plain guy. But I was trying to explain to him, I'm like, even with my shop, right? Like I don't have fancy floors, I don't have fancy walls. And before I was working in my house shop, people would come and you could tell they were kind of just looking around like, what is this place? But then you have some people that have, $5 million shop, all floors and everything, but they're not really good at what they do, but they
Right.
stay real busy because people are like, oh, look at this shop. They must know what they're doing. So
Yeah.
yes, I agree with you. The look makes people perceive you in a different way for sure.
100%. Well, dude, probably the best advice I ever got was from a multimillionaire buddy of mine's dad, and he just said, "Act like a big shot until you become one." And so, like with your shop stuff, if your shop isn't, if it isn't big and it isn't clean all the time, just don't post pictures of it.
Yeah.
Post pictures of your work. There's ways around it to make yourself bigger than what you are, because sometimes in the social media day and age, you really just have to be the most popular person to get the business. That's literally it. Like, dude, I know so many guys that are popular, but they can't tune worth a shit. They can make stuff
you
work.
explain it on your videos,
Yeah.
and I deal with this too. I mean, I've had tuners that I used to look up to before I got to where I am. And then, you see some of the files that they got going and I'm like, why is this like this?
It's Legos. It's literally Legos.
Yeah. And it's even the way I've noticed, so I was 237 pounds, right? I'm down to 205. I've noticed even just cleaning up my image a little bit has made it easier to talk with people, and they kind of listen to you better. But something that I'm going to try and start doing in the new year is also dressing just a little bit better. I got the same pair of jeans I've had for 6 years. This sweater I've had for 6 years. I wear it all the time, but I just got, I got Holy shoes. I still have a set of Holy shoes at the house that I'm going to wear when I get my Lambo. I'm saving them specifically for the Lambo. The soles are falling off, all that shit.
Yeah.
One time when I was I got a story. One time when I was younger, we have this place called Grand Bend, and it's like a beach resort town. You know what I mean? It's got a nice beach. It's got the racetrack, thousands of people from all over. Well, if you drive down the strip, that's where all the badasses drive down, right? And I remember I was probably 23, 24 years old, and this guy, Lamborghini, parked it on the side of the road. He jumped out, had a white shirt. It was coffee stained, ripped jeans, all this shit. And I'm like, that's exactly what I want to look like one day.
Well, here's the thing, though. That's the cool part about Lambos, and that's the cool part about just really your image is if you want to be able to dress like how you want people to take you seriously, just buy a Rolex. You could wear that same hoodie with that same pair of jeans, but if you got a good Submariner on your wrist, the people that matter will know you matter.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. Well, because like if you notice, a lot of the people that are getting famous now, they won't even wear brand names on their clothes or anything like that. They'll go spend like $600 on a white T-shirt from Michael Kors, and it's an expensive shirt, but you can't tell. It looks like just one that you get from a Hanes bag at Target.
But just walk around with your sleeve like this all day, right?
Absolutely.
Here's my Rolex.
Well, the thing is, because guys that successful men, that's one thing that every successful man I know of has the Rolex. And the thing is the guys that have Rolex can pick up if you've got a real Rolex instantly. So you don't even it doesn't really have to be seen. It doesn't have to be a specific model. It literally just, if you've got one and it's clean, and that's where I'm at now, is it's like I've had a Rolex for probably 12, 13 years. And it's just one of those things where you feel better about yourself, but you can still wear your old, LS Fest hoodie or something like that. You don't feel like shit when you're walking around if you've got something like that. So you can try that too.
That's also something you just said right there. The feel you get from having things. I always hear these people like, why do you need all this shit? because when I jump in my vehicle, all these, 16-hour days that I put in for the last who knows how long, when I jump in my vehicle, I'm like, fuck, this thing's nice. It's worth what I'm doing,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I'm the same way when it comes to traveling or like concerts or anything like that. Like that's my way of feeling good. Like if I'm going to a concert, I'm gonna have front row, backstage, whatever's available. If I go eat dinner, I don't even look at the menu. I don't have an expensive car, but I can literally go if I want to buy 10 ounces of A5 Wagyu, that's $200 an ounce. I honestly don't care. Now I don't like throwing away money just on purpose,
yeah,
but it's just that's where I learned when I got out of owning race cars is that was the cool thing that I could experience now is like, hey, I can go do this stuff. And if I want to go
and not
spend
worry about it.
right, because
Yeah.
you may be worried about that, new Aeromotive fuel pump that you need that's, $1,700 or whatever, but I can take that $1,700 and go jump on a cruise to, Cancun for 5 days. So it's just all about balance. So the feeling good part, like I'm just bougie, plain and simple. That's just how I am. So I want to live in a nice house and I want to have a nice truck. It doesn't have to be the best. Hell, my truck's got cloth interior. Like it doesn't have to be the best when it comes to that stuff. But the freedom of walking into a place like with a Rolex, you could walk into anywhere in Nashville. Like we've got, areas in Nashville called like Brentwood and Franklin. It's just super high class. You'll see all the celebrities there. And you could literally walk in with just a Bald Eagle Airfield shirt on. But if you got a Rolex on your arm, you can feel good. And so that's always been my thing is just, I want to feel good about where I'm at and who I'm around. And, because if like, I don't want to feel shy if there's somebody I want to talk to, I want to walk up to them and talk to them. And if you fake too much and you're trying to be somebody you're not, you'll get found out pretty quick. So that's why I'm super blunt about things and just but that's why I also hate people. And so I couldn't own a fancy car like a Lambo once I actually realized it, because I don't want those people coming up to me in a gas station.
True.
Like it's cool if we're out at an event and somebody asks for your autograph or they want to ask for advice on a car or something like that. Like I like that, but I don't want some random person to walk up to me just because they think I have money and then they're asking me for money or they're taking up my time. Like, just leave me alone. Like I want to be with the people I want to be around. So yeah.
Fun fact, that $1,700 Aeromotive fuel pump actually cost us Canadians like $2,500.
Oh, I heard that. Dude, I was watching Cooper's podcast that he put out like Monday or something. And there was a guy, I forget the guy's name, but I guess he's from Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he was talking about everything being 50% more.
Yeah.
That's
you got to think, right? So right off the bat, I think our dollar today is 142 or something. So $1,700 American, add to 42% or 42 cents on the dollar, but then shipping costs extra coming to Canada. Then when it gets to the border, our country charges duties on all that stuff, taxes and duties. Yeah. So by the time we get it, that Aeromotive pump will be at least $2,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's I don't have to experience that, obviously, but that's why I got out of owning my own cars.
That's why I can't wait to be an American, man. I'm just waiting for my shot, and I'm just going to fucking come over, and that's it.
Where are you going to go, though?
There's a couple areas. I'm trying to find the best center spot that I can be with all my customers. Okay. And a couple spots is, your kind of area, like the Tennessee area or Kentucky. I don't want to go somewhere where it's always warm, because I actually enjoy the wintertime when it slows down,
Yeah.
One good thing about where I live right now, Canada, is we have from, say, March to about November in my area. Then it comes winter. The best part about the car scene in my area is waiting until summer to see everybody's new shit to the cars.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you don't see anything. We got snow on the ground, everybody's cooped up, and then all of a sudden it comes out in the spring. It's like, this guy did this, this guy did that. It's like, oh, that's sick,
Yeah.
It's not like where it's always warm. You just got the same shit all year long. But back to my point, probably Tennessee, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got to look into it a little bit more, but
no, Tennessee's cool. Like, I mean, it's like 11 degrees outside right now, so it still gets cold here. You know, in Nashville specifically, we don't get a whole lot of snow. Like we're in a basin that's, you know, a little bit lower than everywhere else. So like when the snow hits here, you'll actually see it'll look like a dome over Nashville of just nothing, but it's snow everywhere else.
Yeah, so where I live, I kind of got that effect. We live right on the lake. So if the weather hits the lake just right, it just takes it right around us.
Yeah.
So it's perfect. But I want to live somewhere where it's still cold enough to not have crazy bugs in the summer.
Okay.
You know, like scorpions and fucking lizards and
You could try Colorado.
Nah, it's too high up for me.
Yeah, but no, dude. I mean, pretty much once you hit halfway down in America, you're gonna have bugs and mosquitoes and snakes, and
I'm fine with that. But like, it's like places like Texas where they got, you know, like scorpions and whatever else they freaking got. But
yeah,
they're warm all the time. Well, they're not warm right now, but I really feel I was told this back when I was like 16 years old in high school from one of my teachers. And beyond the climate change stuff, he told me back then, he's like, the poles shift on the planet all the time. And we're going to have another pole shift here soon. And that always stuck with me. And if you look at the weather the last like 10 years, I honestly starting to believe him, you know? Like you guys are getting snow all down in freaking Florida and everything. And it's warm here. And people are like, how's the weather? I'm like, it's actually t-shirt weather today. They're like, there ain't no way. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the poles do shift, but they don't shift all the time. Yeah, you know, that is an occurrence though. But yeah.
I feel like I watched this one documentary a long time ago, and they were talking about all these trees they found under the Arctic Ocean or whatever. You imagine like it just shifts again, and then all of a sudden Canada's the tropical place. I mean, it's probably not going to happen, but
no, it's definitely not.
That would be awesome. I'd be like, hell yeah,
yeah, no, and that's what, dude. I actually like snow because here, I mean, the cops don't care, so we'll get out and we'll ride side by sides all day. You know, all up at every road and everything like that. Like we've literally rode side by sides into downtown Nashville, and so it's just cool. You know, you go down Broadway and cut donuts. You know, but it sucks because Florida just got the snow and we didn't. So we just got the cold ass air. You know, it was 6 degrees yesterday morning to the point where apparently I have something called a condensing furnace in my attic, and the drain line for it froze. So then I woke up and it was like 58 degrees in the house. I mean, this house is only like a couple years old, and I'm like wondering what's going on. So yeah, if it's going to be cold, like give us the snow and ice. That way we can at least have fun with it.
Make it worth it.
Yeah, like right now, I just look outside and it's just dead grass and cold.
Yeah. Where I live, we're actually allowed to ride our side by sides down the road.
Okay.
So, as long as they're plated and insured.
Yeah. Well, see, we can ride ours, but it's limited to 40 mile. It has to be 40 mile an hour speed limit or less, and you're not supposed to go faster than 40. So I mean, we can do that here, but in the snow, we don't even care. We'll blast past them. Dude, I had buddy like take snowmobiles up and down the street. Like, so because our cops, they don't have 4-wheel drive. So they literally just,
they ain't coming to get you.
No, we've got motorcycle cops and, you know, the Caprices and like the Ford Tauruses and stuff. They don't care. They're not trying to chase you.
What kind of side by side you got?
Just one of the Can-Am X3s.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got a 19 X3.
Nice. Yeah, I just bought this one. I bought this one right after Christmas.
You got the new one with the no more belt in the transmission?
No, you're talking about the Maverick R?
Yeah, I think they come out with a new gearbox for these things, didn't they?
Well, now, so mine's got what they call the P-drive clutch, which is, I don't even know what it is, but it's supposed to be a whole lot better. But mine still has a belt. So the Maverick R, I looked at it, but I don't like the way they look. You know, they got the control arms that come over the tires, and so another thing is, like, we've got a bunch, you know, most of our trails are natural trails where it's wooded really heavily. So I wanted the narrow one. So I got the XDS. So it's a 64
That's
inch.
What I got. Yeah.
Because man, the 72s, like even just the other day when I took it out, I'm literally like knocking hubcaps or the center caps off on both sides of it, just dragging it through some of these trails. And so I really wish the Maverick Trail, I think is what it is. It's like 55 inches wide. And if it was just a little bit more powerful and maybe a little bit nicer, I probably would have even bought it. Because I mean, I'd even be cool with,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'd be cool with a nice 4-wheeler, you know?
Yeah.
But
I thought about a 4-wheeler, but I'm like, man, the way my back feels after working on cars, I don't want to ride a 4-wheeler. I might buy side by side.
Yeah.
You got any friends that might have a stock X3 turbo laying around?
I probably do.
Yeah, I need a turbo. So I kind of messed mine up. I didn't realize. So I took it all apart. I did the head gasket and all that stuff. I didn't realize in the turbo there's two little dowel pins that it's supposed to sit on. So when I clamped the thing down, it crushed the dowel pin and broke the one on the other side. So the turbo was offset. And then when I went to take it for a test drive, I took the wheel out of the freaking turbo.
So is yours the one that where the manifold's built in like an SRT4?
Yes.
Okay, so you're dropping the cartridge in. I got you. No, I mean my buddy Rick, that he was on Side by Side blog for a while, and so he's always got parts like that laying around. So I can shoot him a text when we get off here.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's the only thing I'm missing. I got to get that thing and get this thing. I'll swear to this. If when I was younger we had these side by sides, I would never be into cars.
Yeah,
they're so fucking fun, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And see, I'm in the middle of making mine extra bougie. Like it's literally, I just tore it down last night or night before, but where it's cold here, I'm like, screw this. So I'm in the middle of installing a heater and a glass windshield with a wiper. And it's now a fully enclosed X3. And, everybody's like, why didn't you just buy they're like, why didn't you just buy a Defender? It's like, well, I wanted something a little bit sportier than that.
Yeah.
But
man, I'll swear to this. Can-Am has the market nailed when it comes to side-by-sides.
Yeah.
The comfortableness of the X3 with the suspension it has on it and the power it has, I mean, you can't beat it.
No, I mean, just being able to lay down super low. And like, what's crazy is, mine's just stock height on the, stock 30-inch tires. But man, the places it will go is just so shocking. And, because like growing up in Tennessee, everybody had rock bouncers. And I don't know if have you seen one of those where it's like a full tube chassis and So the rock bouncers, man, for the longest time, I'd see what guys are paying for these side-by-sides. And I'm like, just buy a rock bouncer. Like we've got rock bouncers around here for 25, 30 grand where they've got, LSAs on them and 43-inch stickies. But it's like just seeing that what that narrow side-by-side does on the 30-inch tires is just incredible. And so I become hooked with that thing. I've probably spent $10,000 in the last 3 days on that thing, and it's still going to look completely stock too. I'm just because like a snorkel kit's like $800, and
that's why I got all that shit done to mine. And I left I left it stock height with the the Bighorn wheels.
Oh, you got the Bighorns. Well, mine's got the Carnivores because I think they changed it. But yeah, yours in fact like a 28-inch Bighorn, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. It's it's bigger than the original Maverick ones. So, but I'm not changing them. The fucking thing goes through everything. You know, like and then when you are spinning, you're not breaking axles.
Right. Like exactly.
Yeah, I got guys that put them big flapper tires from the quads on theirs. And every time we go out, they break an axle. I'm like, well, it's because you got these stupid tires on there.
Yeah, no, they're addictive, but that's why, again, that's another reason why I'm not into having race cars is because, man, between Harleys and the side-by-side stuff and just it's so expensive. Then I'm building the second gen right now too. Like my garage, you can barely walk in it right now, and it was spotless like 2 weeks ago, but all of my parts come in all at once, so it's just boxes and boxes of brand new stuff. But I couldn't even afford a race car at this point with all my other hobbies,
It's getting expensive. For sure, especially with all the shit going on in our world. But man, we made it to almost an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
and you haven't said a thing about Trump or anything. Like, kind of shocked at
that. I was gonna try and make this one a little more professional because I know you got a big name too. So
oh, dude,
I don't need to go down no conspiracies or anything.
Yeah. I'll save that for Cooper's show.
I'm happy with the results that's going on over there. I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but I guess we're just gonna have to see what happens. So much shit's been screwed up. I mean, in both our countries. Like I was telling the guy this morning, he dropped that truck off, and he's, kind of on our side or my side or whatever, but he's just going off, and I was like, man. Even if this new guy starts fixing shit from day one, I said it's going to take a decade to recover. Yeah, I'm like, don't expect change right away. It's going to take time. So,
man, that new guy you guys
I'll tell you,
he looks good. Like Pierre. He looks like he'd be a good dude.
He does. Like I was very team Pierre for a while, but the last I'm not saying I'm not with him anymore, but the last 8 months, 6 to 8 months, his demeanor's changed a little bit. Like just the way he's talking and his dress, he changed his whole. I like Pierre when he was just in his regular old suit with his glasses on, just talking. But now he's got this whole new look and he's got this whole new way he talks. So I'm like, I don't know, but still better than what we got for sure.
Yeah.
He doesn't the drink box water bottle sort of things or whatever our old PM said. He's just a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
The guy banned plastic bottle. Here's how dumb Canada is, right? So I don't eat a lot of fast food, but when you eat from Wendy's, before they used to give you, like a wax paper cup, plastic lid or a cardboard lid and a plastic straw. So they got rid of the fucking plastic straws. They give us this bullshit cardboard straw now, but a plastic lid and a plastic cup. Like, does that make any fucking sense?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. No, we still have the old school like yellow cardboard Wendy's cups and the plastic lids and the plastic straws, but they learned it real quick because people were using that kind of logic. Because I think McDonald's got rid of their normal straws for a while, and people just lost their mind.
Well, yeah, you're fucking halfway through your drink and the thing's just mush.
Yeah. Well, it's like I went like a lot of the places around the ocean, man. Like when they, you go to like a beach bar, they've got like these like edible straws now, and those things they don't hold up in alcohol. So like it literally like starts to melt the bottom, and your straw's gone in like a minute and a half.
Yeah. So I live right on a border city. 5 minutes, I'll be over in Port Huron, Michigan. Okay. Every single time I come back from the U.S., my glove box is full of plastic straws.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
like
and the
if
thing
they
is,
caught me for smuggling, it would be for smuggling plastic straws.
That's what I was about to say. If y'all still had old Trudeau in office, there's a chance you could have got arrested for that.
Yeah. Crazy times, man. We'll see where it goes. I was going to say there before, I've already noticed, other than the weather that's going on, since he's been the guy to come in, my business is starting to pick up again.
That's good.
I feel like people were holding some money back a little bit. Like I still had an influx of people, but now it's, I got multiple orders coming in every day. So
that's good.
It's good to see people wanting to spend some money again. Not that that's what I'm in this business for. I am, but I try to make it affordable for everybody. And it's nice to see them spending money.
And that's the thing is people just have to understand. It's like we talked about earlier. This is our job. Like my Gen 3 stock ECU tuning stuff, I had to go up on it because what's crazy is if you think about the logic of the ECU, Gen 3 is not terribly hard, but I had to go up on it specifically just because all the mechanical issues we're having. Gen 3 stuff has taken me 2 or 3 times as long as it does to tune a Gen 5 vehicle. And so, balancing prices with demand and the actual amount of effort in, like, dude, it's just charge what you charge. I'm still way cheaper than a lot of guys. I've got guys that'll tip me at the end of it. And they're like, you're just not charging enough. And it's like, man, I appreciate it. But, like you said, try to make it affordable to everybody. But then you have the guys that'll bitch about your tuning price. And it's like, man, this is just what I'm worth. If you want to go somebody cheaper, go for it. But you save my number and be ready.
Yeah, I'll talk to you in 4 or 5 months. But well, I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sometime, and I'm gonna try to get some more people on. Obviously, make this. I mean, I got quite a bit of views, but it's just still small. Yeah, nothing like what you're used to.
Oh man, it's.
Hey, what do you got? 26,000 subscribers now or something?
I haven't even looked. I haven't looked in probably 3 or 4 months, but man. My stuff, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's cool for me to be at that spot, but what sucks is like when you're going to be in a video that's going to get 1 million views or 2 million views, dude. That's when it starts to get tough. So enjoy being able to have a smaller community now, because even like up until probably 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers, I was trying to like get back with everybody and reply to all the comments and do all that stuff, but it starts to get overwhelming. But I mean, if you want, I mean, I can holler at Dr. Tune or somebody. I mean, we can see who else we can get on here.
Yeah, honestly, that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah,
so, I try to stay low key, but I mean, I'm getting good feedback on these videos. I mean, people learn stuff. Obviously, listening to you, listening to me, or Jason, or whoever, Devin Vanderhoof, like
Yeah.
they can learn. I mean, they can learn just going by your channel.
Yeah.
So, or
Well, I mean,
going
that's
to
the
your
thing is,
channel. So,
as you're pushing this YouTube, it's going to grow, and I mean, you're going to start to be more and more known. So just don't be scared to be an asshole. Don't be scared to increase
I'm
prices a
good at
little
that.
bit. Like, yeah, I think all tuners
I'm good
are.
at, yeah, I'm
I,
good at being
I,
an
I,
asshole for sure.
I feel like if you ever meet a nice tuner, they probably either suck at their job or they're new at it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So, well, appreciate you coming on. I'll let
Yes,
you get
sir.
back to your day, and
Yep.
I'll probably post this up in a little bit here and tag you if you don't mind.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good.
And look forward to having you back.
All right, dude.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
All right. Yep. See you, dude.